I want to bring you a report on what happened in the Israeli elections for Prime Minister today. It says, in a recent report, it says, in a stunning setback, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's hardline bloc fared worse than expected in a parliamentary election Tuesday, exit polls showed, possibly forcing the incumbent Israeli leader to invite surprisingly strong moderate rivals into his government and soften his line toward the Palestinians. TV exit polls showed the hardliners with about 61 seats in the 120 parliament, bare majority, and the counts could change as actual votes are tallied. The unofficial TV results had Netanyahu winning only 31 seats, though he combined his Likud party with the far-right Israel Betanu for the voting. Running separately 4 years ago, the two won 42 seats. He expected to increase that total by running together, but the combined list poll results dipped steadily throughout the three-month campaign. Netanyahu was also expected to receive stronger backing because his fragmented opposition did not post an agreed candidate against him. If they hold up through the actual vote counting, the unexpected results could be seen as a setback for Netanyahu's tough policies. The coalition building process could force him to promise concessions to restore long-stalled peace talks with the Palestinians. Addressing cheering supporters early Wednesday, Netanyahu pledged to work for a broad-based government. Also, he said, he would show responsibility in striving for a genuine peace. Now here's something that you might want to pay attention to. It says Netanyahu made a quick phone call to a newcomer of Israel's political stage, Yair Lapid, whose centrist party debuted with a strong showing of 19 seats, making it the second largest party after Netanyahu. Nearly 67% of Israel's 5.5 million eligible voters took part, more than in previous elections, apparently giving boosts to the centrists, especially Lapid's new Yesh Atid, or There Is a Future party, which nearly doubled results predicted by polls before the election. Lapid's surprise showing could make him a key cabinet minister should he decide to join Netanyahu's government. A Likud official said Netanyahu phoned Lapid after the results and told him, "We have the opportunity to do great things together." Lapid and other centrist parties have said that they would not join Netanyahu's team unless the Prime Minister promises to make a serious push for peace with the Palestinians. The moderates also want an end to the generous subsidies and military draft exemptions given to the Orthodox Jewish communities. The conflicting positions of the various parties point up the difficulties facing anyone who tries to set up a coalition government in Israel. If Netanyahu relies only on the religious and hardline parties, it means constant fights with the opposition over social programs. If he tries to team up with the centrists, it means battles with the ultra-Orthodox over subsidies, as well as internal snipping over concessions to the Palestinians. Some predict Netanyahu might even fail to form a government. Netanyahu's victory is a Pyrrhic victory, and it is not clear he will be the next prime minister, said the Israeli political analyst Yaron Israeli. Netanyahu will face difficulty in constructing a viable coalition, Israeli said, estimating that the lifespan of the next Israeli government at no more than 18 months. Netanyahu has won praise at home for drawing the world's attention to Iran's suspect nuclear program and for keeping the economy on solid ground at a time of global turmoil. But internationally, he has repeatedly clashed with allies over his handling of the peace process. Peace talks with the Palestinians have remained stalled throughout his term, in large part because of his continued construction of Jewish settlements in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. Netanyahu has only grudgingly voiced conditional support for a Palestinian state, and his own party is now dominated by hardliners who oppose even this. A likely coalition partner, Naftali Bennett of the Jewish Home Party, which won 12 seats, has called for annexing large parts of the West Bank, the core of any future Palestinian state. Palestinians view the election results grimly, seeing it as entrenching a pro-settlement government. Even if Netanyahu brings some center-left parties to his coalition, he will continue building in the settlements. He said that clearly, and that is what we expect him to do, said Mohammed Shatayeh, an aide to the Western-backed Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. 3 hours after the polling stations closed, the official election commission had published results of only 15% out of about 3.5 million votes cast, and the breakdown was similar to the exit polls. So what does all this mean in terms of Israel's future? Well, I think it speaks volumes for the direction that the Israelis are wanting to go. Mr. Netanyahu, during his time in office, did not make any progress toward peace with the Palestinians, and also was seen as having strained relations with the West or with President Obama. And as it seems, the Israeli public consider the United States as a guardian or someone who is paramount to Israel's security and safety. And a telltale sign of this is that there is a future party headed up by Lapid, got twice as many votes as were expected and shocked the Israeli public by receiving the second most highest of parliamentary seats with 19 total. Now, as stated earlier, I said that Netanyahu has already contacted Lapid so to feel out if he might want to combine as a coalition. But Lapid and other centrist parties have already said they wouldn't join Netanyahu's team unless the Prime Minister promises to make a serious push for peace with the Palestinians. So Mr. Netanyahu is either going to have to get very serious about bringing peace to the Middle East, or he may very well be out of a job soon. And as stated earlier by one of the Israeli political analysts, Mr. Netanyahu may not even be able to form a government in the position that he's in right now. And he gives his reign another 18 months, and that's about it until there may very well be a call for another election. But what this is telling me is this is signaling to me that the Israeli public is open to peace with the Palestinians and may be open to something happening very soon. Now, I do want to point out, I did read another article that Mr. Netanyahu may be much more keen toward agreeing to a Palestinian state if indeed the U.S. were able to come to an agreeable proposition with Iran. In other words, if Iran and the U.S. were to come to an agreement and Iran were to stop its nuclear program, that would change many things. Frankly, I believe that's about what's going to happen. I think that once the rapture of the church takes place, I believe that the Antichrist, who will bring about a miraculous peace accord, will include Iran, and Iran will discontinue its nuclear program. Now, of course, we don't see that right now because all we see is that Iran's still stalling, holding out, and we have inspectors running in and out, and progress is not being made. But frankly, I think that's all going to end once the Antichrist comes on the scene. Now, how far away are we from that? No one really knows. No one knows when the rapture of the church is going to take place, and nobody knows when the tribulation period will begin. As I've said many times, that the rapture could take place and the tribulation period not start for weeks, months, or even years down the road. We simply don't know what the distance is between the rapture and the tribulation period. Many people think that once the rapture takes place, the tribulation period begins right after. But that's simply not the case. It doesn't necessarily have to be that way. There could be time in between, and many things could happen. But the fact of the matter still holds that the Bible does say that we will see, and we will have the ability to see the day coming. And I still hold to the fact that I believe that we are seeing the day coming right now. But how soon that day will come is anyone's guess. But I do believe that I do see the day coming, and you should too. But I can say this right now, that this election, this is a major shift that nobody saw coming. And even though Netanyahu is still standing somewhat, he may very well be in a position that he simply did not expect to be in, and may be forced to do some things that he didn't want. He simply doesn't want to do. But we'll have to wait and see what happens over the next few months to see how his government shakes out, and also how the European Union and the United States react to this particular situation. And as I've said before, I'm sure that Mr. Obama and his pressure has made a tremendous amount of difference in this election, and swayed the election somewhat in his favor. And I will say that I am a little bit shocked as to the outcome as well. But it does go in line with what I believe the future does hold, and that is that an Israel that will be brought into an agreement had to be created in order for that particular situation to be able to be accomplished. And if in fact Mr. Netanyahu does not hold office long, that even further makes me believe that Israel will be in a position to make peace with the Palestinians and with many. And I believe right now that this, what is going on in the elections, is setting the stage for that particular situation to happen. How far away it is, though, no one really knows, but I think that you're looking at the beginning stages of that possibility. But you know what? I want to bring another message, and that message is that you could die today. And if you did die today, where would you spend eternity? 150,000 people died today. The vast majority of them did not know that they were going to die today, and they simply didn't know what their destiny was going to be. Well, let me tell you right now what your destiny is. If you died today, you only have one of two destinies, and that is heaven, if you've accepted Jesus as your Savior and you're living for Him, or hell, if you are just living a life and paying little attention to what's going on, and you've rejected Jesus. You know, I've talked to many people in my lifetime about the Lord, and the vast majority of them just basically didn't know where they were going to go when they died. They hoped that they would go to heaven, but the vast majority of them didn't know. Let me just say this: if you don't know, if you're undecided on where you're going to go, you're more than likely going to hell. Because if you're a Christian, you're gonna know that you know the Savior. There's no accidental Christians in this world. They all know positively that they're going to heaven. But you need to worry about you today, and that is, where will you spend eternity? Have you accepted Jesus as your Savior? If not, your time is running out. Well, this is Terry Malone with the Calvary Prophecy Report.